your representative, our Deputy Chief Secretary, a lady who has matured significantly and continues to serve with distinction, your own Tracy Davidson Celestine. I'd like to also recognize our very hard-working Secretary of Infrastructure and Public Utilities, Mr. Gary Melville. I'd like to recognize all the other secretaries and assistant secretaries in the audience. I'd like to say a special shout out to all the PNM people who are here gathered for this very important meeting. And of course, all the supporters, well-wishers, and even those who are not yet supporters of the People's National Movement. But I want to save a special good night for a young woman who continues to impress us. And we have watched her grow and mature over the past 2 to 3 months. And tonight, as I listened to her, I told myself, she has arrived. She's ready. Ayana Webster-Roy, our candidate, our representative in less than 3 weeks, our representative for Tobago East, who will guarantee that after 5 years of neglect, we will get the quality of representation which Tobago East deserves and demands. I say to us, I take very great pleasure in endorsing Ayana Webster-Roy. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel particularly blessed this evening for a number of reasons. I'm certain that there are many of you in the audience who will have envied this throne sitting among 3 talented, powerful, beautiful Betsy Hope roses. I'm certain of that. But I also feel very blessed that I can stand here this evening in Ayana Webster-Roy's home village to endorse her and to say to all of Betsy's Hope and all of Tobago East how proud we are of our choice, how proud we are that we had the courage and the foresight to select someone of the caliber of Ayana Webster-Roy to represent you. We have come to know over the last couple months the Ayana Webster-Roy that the people of Betsy's Hope would have nurtured, the people of Betsy's Hope would have trained, and the people of Betsy's Hope would have presented. We have come to understand and to recognize and to appreciate her caring nature, her compassionate nature, her commitment, her passion, and therefore we can be very confident that Tobago East will be well represented. I'm also very blessed that I could stand here and tell all of you present that when Ayana Webster-Roy made that very passionate speech, Ayana Webster-Roy is not only somebody who is going to talk the talk. It's not only somebody who's going to walk the walk. Ayana Webster-Roy is going to work the work. And I'm saying that that is what this election is all about. Not just about somebody who could talk the talk and walk the walk, but somebody over the next 5 years will work the work. And I say to you, brothers and sisters, that working the work is not just about an individual. Working the work is about a team. Working the work is about a leader. And therefore, Ayana Webster-Roy not only has positive qualities, but she's in a positive environment. Because she starts with having a partner in Tobago West who is just as powerful, just as committed, just as intelligent, just as compassionate, and just as beautiful, Shamfa Kojo. So she has a partner and she has support. And then she is part of a team that you will have seen last Saturday. One of the best balanced teams that any political party has put forward to an electorate in the history of politics of this country. And then you have a leader who has been nurtured, a leader who has matured, a leader who has come through very many challenges, very many travails, but these challenges and travails have strengthened him and given him the experience and given him the fortitude necessary to lead this country for the next 5 years. Because, brothers and sisters, while we are in celebratory mood, maybe very early in Betsy's Hope today or this evening, we must understand as Tobagonians that we are living in very serious times. We are in a very difficult situation in Tobago and in Trinidad and Tobago. And we have to understand that the choice that you make on September the 7th will determine whether we give ourselves an opportunity to recover and to really be in a position where we can pull this country back from the brink, or whether we're going to allow this country to slide further down into the depths of despair. Over the last 5 years, we have had a government which has done everything to bring this country to its knees, and it has succeeded in doing so. At present, our economy is in shambles. At present, our reputation is at the worst point that it has ever been in the history of this country. At this point, we do not know what the state of our treasury is. At this point, what we know is that the government of the day has absolutely no plans to improve the situation. Because, brothers and sisters, sometimes you hear things and you ignore them. But when our political leader speaks, and speaks with honesty and sincerity about a government that, as we speak, is in fact issuing post-dated checks, we have to understand the state of our economy. If I issue a post-dated check, it means that I know that I do not have money. And I'm saying to us, brothers and sisters, that a government that is prepared to do that or has to do that has in fact bankrupted this country already. And therefore, when the PNM takes over on the 8th of September, we have a lot of very serious work to do. And in order to do that serious work, we need serious, committed people. And that is one of the reasons why I want all of us to recognize how important it is for us to make the right choices. In Tobago East, for the very first time in our political history, we have a record number of candidates, 6. And I can't spend time dealing with all 6. So I really deal with them from the perspective of the winners, the also ran, and the never was in the race. And therefore, I will dismiss the never was in the race, the people who have really got into the election to contribute their deposits to the treasury. So I will say nothing more of the TTP, TPT, the ILP, or Watson Jew. They will contribute to the treasury, and we'll be very grateful for their contribution. But I want to say a word or two about the other two, the TOP and Forwards Tobago. And I think sometimes, you know, people make statements, and we ignore the statements, not realizing how these statements do in fact give us insights into people and how they think, and most likely what they're supposed to do. And there are 2 issues about the TOP that I want to draw to attention, because both of them took place in the last 48 hours. The TOP leader, or the TOP representatives, were asked, representatives were asked, who would they like to be the prime minister? And they said Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Yes? But they don't have a choice. They're part of the partnership. And the leader of the so-called partnership is Kamla Prasad Bisesa. So when Joseph Frederick comes to you and asks you for his support, what he's in fact saying is that he's asking you to support Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the United National Congress. And I'll tell you what he's asking you to support. I have this booklet. It is 124 pages. And the name, it is titled Reasons to Remember of Lies, Deceptions, Blunders, and Missteps. And there are close to 300 of those lies, deceptions, blunders, and missteps in this publication. And that is what Joseph Frederick is going to come here to ask you to support. Support a Kamla Prasad Bisesa and a UNC that will go down in the history of this country as the most corrupt, most despicable regime. And he's going to tell you to come here. He's going to come here to tell you, let us, as Tobagonians, who have suffered under this regime and would have suffered more had it not been for the fact that the Tobago House of Assembly was a buffer between them and the most despicable of the atrocities, he's going to come here and tell you that. But what actually compounded the situation is when I read in the papers that Joseph Frederick is saying, I had a lengthy discussion with the present member for Tobago East. So I said, well, if he wasn't spoiled already, he's spoiled now. Because imagine that he is going to go and sit down with the member for Tobago East to come and tell Tobago people, the people of Tobago East, that that is qualifying him to be a representative for Tobago East. Here you have a situation where the Tobago East representative, the TOP representative of Tobago East, has brought shame and disgrace to the Tobago East and the Tobago family. And therefore, if I were Joseph Frederick, I will stay very far from her. And then we look at Forwards Tobago. And here you have a representative in Forwards Tobago who, as was mentioned earlier, was a failure in the THE. I used to be a school teacher. I used to be a principal. And when a child fails, they either stay same place or you demote them. You don't try to promote them. And therefore, I cannot understand the thinking behind this particular decision on the part of Tobago Forwards. But in addition to that, on a more serious note, one has got to ask oneself, what can the Tobago Forward representative do? And what can any of the others do with respect to delivering to the people of Tobago East and the people of Tobago? And the answer, of course, is nothing. Because in order to understand the role that your representative has to play, one has to understand the responsibilities of the Tobago House of Assembly and the responsibilities of the central government. The central government has specific responsibilities with respect to Tobago. And those responsibilities were not carried out over the past 5 years. And Ayanna Webster-Roy is quite correct when she said that we gave her and gave Shamfa a mandate to correct those wrongs and to ensure that all those things that were not done for Tobago by the central government over the last 5 years must be done by them and a PNM government under Keith Rowley in 1 year to 18 months. So that when we talk about self-government, they have a timeline. All PNM has a timeline to deliver self-government for Tobago. It is not a matter of talking the talk. You have to work the work this time around when you go there as a representative of the PNM, whether at the level of Ayanna Webster-Roy or at the level of Prime Minister Keith Rowley. When Ayanna Webster-Roy speaks to you and indicates to you that the situation with land titles will have to be addressed. Again, that has to be addressed with a specific timeline. And I say to the people of Tobago East and the people of Tobago, it is not a matter of talking the talk. Ayana Webster-Roy, Shamfa Kojo, and the People's National Movement can work the work with respect to that, because they know that 5 years ago, the then PNM government had in fact 3 bills before the House, and that those 3 bills were supposed to treat with that particular situation. And had it not been for the cynicism of the UNC government, which when it came in 2010, allowed those 3 bills to lapse, so that for 5 years we had nothing else but mamagai, with various committees that were set up, one of them under the same Tobago East representative. Nothing has happened, and the situation has not been addressed. That situation will be addressed within the first 18 months of this new PNM government. When we have a situation where all of us are suffering throughout Tobago from the situation with internal transportation, and all it takes is the sensitivity to deal with the arithmetic of transportation in Tobago. We recognize that in order to have a reasonable level of transportation in Tobago, you need 30 buses. If you give Tobago 8 buses, what do you expect? So while they are trying all they can in Trinidad to bring all kinds of buses, the Tobago situation is neglected. Because these are people that relate the governance with politics. They relate governance with giving to people or repaying people for what they feel people would have done. And it is in that context, brothers and sisters, I want you to compare what has transpired in Tobago before 2013 with what happened after 2013. What they are attempting to do to the people of Tobago is to punish them for the licking that we put on them on 2013. But I'm saying what I want us to do in 2014 is to put another licking on them in 2015 so that they will not be in a position to ever punish us again. That is what we have to do. Because no government should rule out of spite and vindictiveness. Because you remember the situation, and I say this on this platform, when we spoke about this situation, when I spoke about the situation with respect to water, one of the things that you have to understand is that when the government came in 2010, there were commitments that they made to us, the people of Tobago. They made a commitment to the Hillsborough Dam, because all of us know that in a situation where more than 50% of the Hillsborough Dam is covered in silt, that it means that the capacity of the dam is such that it is not fulfilling its function. They were talking nice. After 2013, they suddenly have no money to desilt the dam. They dug wells. After 2013, that stopped. You in Tobago, you know the situation in Tobago. You would have seen the amount of work they would have done in digging up the road and putting down lines. Look what happened after 2013. They would have indicated to us in 2013 that they would have started to deal with the Southwest wastewater treatment situation by putting in some ponds. Suddenly after 2013, they have no money, coming to ask us. They're collecting water rate and asking us to give them money to fix something that they would have decided to fix before. I am saying to us, brothers and sisters, that we cannot put Tobago in the hands of individuals like this, who believe that governance has to be related to paying back, whether paying back positive or paying back negative. And it is in that context that I want us to understand what has transpired over the last 5 years and what we cannot allow to continue for the next 5 years. Because the last 5 years, it was about payback. The representatives of Tobago over the last 5 years were people who were paying back to their UNC masters for the favors that were given to them during and after the election. And therefore, it is time that we, the people of Tobago, select individuals who owe nobody anything. The only people they owe are the people of Tobago who nurtured them, the people of Tobago who selected them, the people of Tobago who sent them, and the people of Tobago have a right to demand that they serve them. That is the only payback that we're talking about. And that is the only payback that we want for Mayana, Webster-Roy, and Champa-Kuju. Because these individuals have demonstrated by their track record that they have the temperament, that they have the caliber, that they have the character, that they have the resilience, but most importantly, they have the integrity that we as Tobagonians should demand from our representatives. Because I say to us, brothers and sisters, that we speak about development in Tobago, and we say Tobago has in fact developed, and yes, it has. It has developed to the point where many people believe that there are very few islands or countries in the region that have really developed to the extent that we have in Tobago. But I'm saying that we could have done more, we could have achieved more had we got the level of collaboration that we needed from the central government. And in many cases, what we were asking for this from the central government would not have cost any money. All we wanted is for them to sit with us in an environment of mutual respect and talk to us about Tobago people's business and how we can help the people of Tobago and improve the quality of life of Tobagonians. And they refused to do that. Instead of sitting down with the Tobago House of Assembly so that we can join forces in doing what is best for the people of Tobago, they spent 5 years attempting to undermine the Tobago House of Assembly, not realizing that by undermining the Tobago House of Assembly, they were in fact undermining the people of Tobago. And the most tragic thing about that is that they were supported in this kind of betrayal. They were supported by our own Tobago representatives. That will end on the 7th of September when we make the right choice and send Champa-Kuju and Ayana Webster-Roy to Parliament. Because this is the first time in the history of politics in Tobago, starting way back in the time of Arthur N.R. Robinson and coming right down to 2010. It is the first time that Tobago selected representatives who did not believe their first loyalty was to Tobago. It is the first time that we selected representatives who consistently betrayed the very principles that they were supposed to grow up under. And I'm saying that will change on September the 7th. That will change when we make the right choices on September the 7th. Because I say to us, brothers and sisters, that as bad as things are today, they can get worse if we make the wrong choice. And I'm saying to us, brothers and sisters, that sometimes when the Lord recognizes that the choice is clear and we still do the wrong thing, then the Lord has a right to punish us, and we deserve to be punished. In 2010, we could have been excused, because in 2010, we did not know all the facts. In 2010, we could have said, give the lady a chance, give Ethiopia a chance. 2015, we know about the lady, we know about TOP, we know about Forwards Tobago, and we don't have to know about the rest. And in those circumstances, we have a responsibility to make the right choice. And I listened to the chairman, and she was saying something that is very important. She consistently spoke to the undecided. And tonight I want to speak to the undecided also, but I want to speak to you about the undecided. Because we have got to understand that sometimes not voting is the same as voting wrong. Not voting, as far as I'm concerned, is voting wrong, because you have made a decision. And that decision, whether you vote wrong or you don't vote at all, is about condoning wrongdoing. It's about condoning corruption. It's about condemning this country to 5 more years of the United National Congress. Because something that all of us in Tobago must ensure that we're not duped about is this whole idea about Kamala. This election is not about Kamala. Kamala is fighting one seat. This election is about the United National Congress. And we as intelligent Tobagonians must ask ourselves, why is it that this government, which for 5 years was operating as UNC, and for years before that was UNC, suddenly decide to mount a campaign on Kamala? And if Kamala, in fact, had a track record that was marketable, you could understand. But the point about it is that Kamala's track record, as bad as it is better than the track record of the UNC. But if you do not understand what is going on, you're likely to get taken in by that. The reality is that if we make the wrong decision in Trinidad and Tobago, we are going to be back in the clutches, not just of Kamala, but the clutches of the United National Congress. And it's in that context that I want the undecided to ask themselves whether that is something that they want to inflict on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I want the undecided in Tobago to ask themselves whether they will want to be able to tell their children that faced with the circumstances which face Trinidad and Tobago today, faced with the 5 years that Trinidad and Tobago would have endured, whether they can look their children in the eye and look their grandchildren in the eye 5, 10 years down the road and say, in those circumstances, I did nothing. So to those undecided who are here tonight, I say to you, this is decision time. Because this is an election, as far as I'm concerned, that is more a test of the people than it is a test of the politicians. Because the politicians can talk what they want. In the final analysis, it is you, the people, who have to do the evaluation and then make the decision. And you can make a decision to make the wrong choice or to make no choice. I'm saying making no choice is the wrong choice. And therefore I want all of you here who accept the fact that the PNM message, the Ayana Webster-Roy message, the young lady Nadine Short's message, and I must take the opportunity to congratulate her on a very sterling performance. And when I watch her, I say, just now she got ready. And of course, the Tracy Celestine story. I am saying that if you all believe that those messages are valid, you have a responsibility to carry those messages. The PNM is not a perfect organization. But this is not a choice between perfection and imperfection. It is in fact a choice about what is best for this island and this country at this particular point in time. And I'm saying to you that you want to ensure that you have a government in Trinidad that gives the Tobago House of Assembly the best opportunity to provide the best for you. Because most of the issues that affect your quality of life of Tobagonians, whether it's the roads on which you drive, the schools to which your children go to, the community center to which Nadine referred, whether it is the health facilities, whether it is the recreational facilities, whether it is the community services, the Tobago House of Assembly is responsible for that. And we can only serve you better if we have a better relationship with our central government. And that is one of the reasons why we have a responsibility to do the right thing come September the 7th. But I'm saying to you, brothers and sisters, that there's another issue about which I want to speak. And it is the question of leadership. I spoke at Bethel yesterday evening. And at Bethel yesterday evening, I made the point about persons who criticize Dr. Keith Rowley as the potential Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And I have absolutely no problem with that, because every public figure must be subject to scrutiny. But I'm saying that when individuals who criticize Keith Rowley in a manner that they send the signal that he is totally unsuitable, what you are in fact saying is that the other aspirant to the position is the person who is more suitable. And I'm asking any self-respecting Tobagonian, if you have a choice between Dr. Keith Rowley and Kamla Persad Bissessa, whether you're PNM or not, do you have a choice as to who is better for Tobago? And that is the question you got to ask yourselves. Which one of them is better for Tobago? And I'm saying to all of us that there's none among us who will believe that a Kamla Persad Bissessa is better for Tobago, its communities, its children, and its future and its heritage than Dr. Keith Rowley. And that is why we have a responsibility, not just as PNMites, but as Tobagonians who care about their future, who care about their communities, who care about their children, who care about their heritage. We have a right as Tobagonians to do what is best for us. And what is best for us as Tobagonians is Shamfa Kojo in Tobago West, Ayana Webster-Roy in Tobago East, and Keith Christopher Rowley as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. This is a very serious election, because I say to you that what we do on September the 7th is not only going to impact on us for the next 5 years, it's going to impact on us for the next generation. And that is why we in the People's National Movement have not just given you a candidate for the next 5 years, we've given you a candidate and a representative for the next generation in Ayana Webster-Roy. Because the challenges that we face in Trinidad and Tobago and the issues that are relevant and important are not going to be addressed in 5 years. It's going to take a long time. And it's going to take people with commitment. It's going to take people with the kind of focus and the kind of resilience that Ayana Webster-Roy has exhibited in her working life and up to the present time, and that Ayana Webster-Roy, I know, will continue to exhibit as a representative of the people of Tobago. We, the People's National Movement, consider ourselves very fortunate that we not only had an Ayana Webster-Roy, but had a selection, number of people from whom we can select. And this platform this evening does in fact tell us about the caliber of women in the People's National Movement. Because the chairperson this evening and the youth speaker this evening were both individuals who were screened with Ayana Webster-Roy for the candidacy in Tobago East. And any one of them could have been sitting and standing in Ayana's place because all of them were worthy. But the fact that Ayana Webster-Roy was chosen, and the fact that they stood resolutely and are standing resolutely with her, is a tribute to Betsy Hope women, is a tribute to Tobago East women, is a tribute to Tobago women, and I want to see how very proud I am to be associated with them. Brothers and sisters, this has been a good evening for us. You have heard the caliber, you've heard the statements, and you must have been able to treat with their sincerity and their commitment. And I'm saying that I don't think there's anybody here who would have heard the content of this meeting and who would have been able to evaluate the quality of the candidate and, of course, the kind of plans that she and the PNM would have for our Tobago East and our Tobago, that will leave here unconvinced that the right choice is Ayana, Webster-Roy, and the People's National Movement. The journey continues throughout the length and breadth of Tobago. It's going to be rough. And sometimes I empathize with Ayana and Chamfer. They have got to walk every day and talk almost every night. But it is good trading, because the next 5 years are going to be rough for them. The next 5 years are going to be challenging for us. But I am confident that the people of Tobago East will make the right choice. I'm confident that the people of Tobago West will make the right choice. I'm confident that the people of Trinidad and Tobago will make the right choice. I am confident that when we make the right choice, that we'll have the team in place and the leadership in place that will guarantee that we're able to treat with the challenges facing us as daunting as they are at this point in time. And I am confident that when we make this right choice, that we will be able to say that regardless of what has happened over the past 5 years, regardless of the abyss in which we have been placed, regardless of the morass in which we have been involved, that we have the leadership in Tobago, in Trinidad, and that with that leadership and with the kind of collaboration that will exist among the PNM people in the parliament and between the PNM controlled central government and the PNM controlled Tobago House of Assembly, Tobago and Trinidad will be again back on the path to prosperity and decency. And when each of us knows that he or she has made a contribution to this positive situation, I am saying that in those circumstances, all of us who have contributed can join together and celebrate in Tobago, and then also join with our brothers in Trinidad who would also be celebrating a magnificent victory and a return to decency in governance. And when we do that, and when we have that confidence, we'll be able to say with pride and conviction, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and Trinidad and Tobago will prevail. I thank you and good night.